What happens when a sitting president becomes the most wanted man on earth? Not by rebels, not by rivals, but by the world's most powerful nation. In March 2020, the United States did something unprecedented. It indicted a sitting head of state. Nicolás Maduro of Venezuela was no longer just a controversial leader. He became a global target. This is not just the story of one man. This is the story of how law, power, and military force collide in the modern world. The charges were explosive: narco-terrorism, conspiracy to flood the United States with cocaine, alleged coordination with the FARC guerrilla movement. And then came the signal to the world: a $15 million bounty on a sitting president's head. This was no longer diplomacy. This was a manhunt. In May 2020, a private group tried to do what governments could not. A covert raid, launched from the sea, aimed at capturing Maduro and claiming the reward. But Venezuelan intelligence was waiting. The mission collapsed before it began. The operatives were arrested, the plan exposed. Behind it all stood a former U.S. Green Beret, a leaked contract, and a $212 million promise that never came true. The message was clear: if power could not remove Maduro quietly, it would move louder. What followed was not a single operation, but a 6-year campaign. Legal indictments, diplomatic isolation, economic sanctions, covert pressure, and finally, direct force. From 2020 to 2026, the noose tightened, and then came January 3rd, 2026. Before dawn in Caracas, U.S. Special Forces moved in. No speeches, no warnings, no negotiations. Hours later, the headline shocked the world: the target is secured. President Maduro is in U.S. custody. For the first time since Manuel Noriega in 1989, a sitting head of state had been captured by American forces. History had repeated itself, but in a far more dangerous era. In New York, Maduro stood not as a leader, but as a defendant, charged with narco-terrorism, facing life behind bars. U.S. authorities seized over $700 million in assets: luxury homes, private jets, cash reserves. It was not just justice, it was a financial decapitation of a regime. But behind the courtroom drama lay a deeper truth. Venezuela was once an oil empire. Now it was a collapsing petrostate in a world moving beyond fossil fuels. China's electric vehicle boom, peak oil demand. The world did not applaud. At the United Nations, allies accused Washington of imperial aggression. Latin America warned of a new Monroe Doctrine. Europe stood uneasy. In Caracas, celebrations turned into confusion. Who governs now? Which faction rises? And who controls the oil, the military, and the streets? A future where Venezuela's greatest weapon had lost its power. Was this about justice? Or about closing the chapter on an old energy order? History teaches us something brutal. Toppling a leader is easy. Governing what comes after is the real battlefield. The message was dangerous but clear. If the U.S. could capture a president, who would be next? Maduro's capture created a new rule in world politics. Legal warfare plus military power equals regime removal. No invasion, no occupation, just law, pressure, and a final strike. A model that could be repeated from Latin America to Africa to the Middle East. Washington won the operation, but inherited the crisis. Rebuilding Venezuela will cost billions. Stabilizing the region will take decades, and the moral question will linger forever. Did the world become safer, or just more dangerous? The capture was the mission, but governing the aftermath, that is the quagmire. In the 21st century, wars no longer begin with tanks. They begin with indictments. They end with power vacuums. And somewhere between justice and dominance, the world learns a hard truth. When superpowers chase presidents, no throne is truly safe. Subscribe to Timeless Hub for stories power doesn't want told.